they work and are grateful for all they do day to day to help our children learn and grow. Finally, we need to stop grandstanding and undermining our dedicated school board members. They are devoted to our children, respect our teachers, and are working endlessly to be good stewards of our resources and direction. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm just a Burlington citizen, but I kind of got interested as to and confused why the teachers were rejecting a 2.75 raise. And I was a teacher in Philadelphia years ago, so I kind of like to keep up with what's going on here. It seems to me that we know teachers work hard to educate our children, and there are positives that come from teaching positions, such as respect and holidays and good things you get. So I didn't understand why you're not coming to some agreement here, and this has been going on and on. Perhaps I don't know all the details, but I am sympathetic to the many demands on teachers. We appreciate all the efforts that you do, but you have to be cognizant of what our community can afford, and that is getting very, very difficult to afford living in Burlington. I'm going to ask you to please go forward with this contract and put it to sleep, and so you can go on next year to working on the new budgets next year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran,
Good evening. Fran Brock, I'm a history teacher at Burlington High School and also president of the Burlington Education Association, a union of 400 colleagues, and I proudly belong to. This afternoon, we voted to authorize our negotiating team to call a strike no earlier than October 20 if a negotiated settlement is not reached during our session with the mediator. Teachers take this action with thoughtfulness and sadness. We are acutely aware the strike is disruptive for students, families, and for the community. But we can no longer stand by and allow the school board to continue to demean us, to disrespect us, to devalue us, and the teaching profession. When the school board commissioners chose to impose working conditions in September, they exercised a level of autocratic power that was unnecessary and dangerous. An important principle is at stake. We cannot stand by and allow the board to set a precedent that could adversely affect future negotiations in Burlington and throughout the state. We can no longer sit still and let the board make a mockery of the collective bargaining process. Such leadership is an affront to teachers and to the citizens of Burlington, and it is unwelcome and unnecessary intrusion on what we are all about, the city's students. This city's students deserve so much better, deserves leadership that is respectful and is driven by a desire to settle rather than driven by a desire to flex muscle and bully. We have tried diligently over the past year to settle this one-year contract, viewing a strike as a last resort. Unfortunately, the school board chose to impose working conditions as soon as they were legally allowed to do so, forcing us to consider our option of a strike. We have run out of alternative paths. We cannot let this go any further. Prolonging this unresolved matter will be more harmful for the education of Burlington students. We sincerely thank the community for trying to convince the school board to come back to the table. We want to thank Ira Lavelle, the mediator, for calling us both back to the table. We so appreciate the time and energy community members, particularly the PTO groups, have dedicated to end this crisis. We hope the board's leadership has heard their pleas and expect to approach next week's talks with an eye squarely on reaching a contract agreement with us. A strike is a last resort. When a school board opts to impose working conditions, which should be used only as a last resort for a school board. We will not let the imposition stand. We cannot let the 3+ years of the board beating down the teachers by the constant cutting of direct student services to continue. We hope the board knows that it is up to them to come back to the table with us as equals, and that it truly wants to reach a settlement on this year's contract. We pledge to bring the same zeal for a settlement. But should the board fail to reach a settlement, we will have to exercise our last resort.
My name is Christopher Hood. I'm the treasurer of the Burlington Friends of Education, also the father of two students here at Burlington School District, a 5th grader and a 9th grader. And I want to thank the board members for being here tonight. But most importantly, I want to thank and acknowledge community members who were instrumental in actually getting this meeting moved to an accommodating space. I know that was very challenging, but I'm glad that we're all here. I'm here representing those in our community, and there are many, who seek a common sense solution to our current rift. This common sense solution means to avoid using political rhetoric that delays compromise and inhibits a negotiated settlement to the 16-17 school year. I ask all of you to listen to your own voice and make your own decisions about what's best at this point for our schools and our community. As our friend Albert Einstein so aptly put it, problems cannot be solved with the same mindset that created them. I'm very concerned about the rhetoric that I've heard from many board members and at times the BEA that lends to a fixed mindset that does not allow progress moving forward. However, public statements from some board members seem to limit the responsiveness to changing times. I want you to have an open mind moving forward. Just as Burlington educators encourage their students to assume a growth mindset when pursuing educational goals, I ask all of you to consider new negotiating positions that you can support, even if they diverge from school board leadership. Teachers truly are the heart of our schools, and the schools are the heart of this Burlington community. School board chairmen and women come and go. Superintendents come and go. But teachers are here working for our community year after year, decade after decade, and that needs to be respected. Next Wednesday, I ask all of you to talk, negotiate, compromise, and settle. Burlingtonians deserve nothing less. Thank you.
My name is J.D. Varna, and I'm a parent of an 8th grader here at Edmonds. I promised myself I wouldn't stand before you like this unless I felt like I had done my homework. So I talked with folks on both sides, and I tried really hard to listen deeply. I read whatever I could, and I spent time contemplating it all, both alone and with people who tend to ask really good questions. My human conclusion is that this is hard, it is sad, it is painful. As a community, we have hurt each other, we are angry, frustrated, and confused. The tension is complicated, complex, and multidimensional at the very least. It seems there's no easy answer to resolving this conflict. So many of us disagree with one another about so many things. And the funny thing is, I do believe what we have in common is that at our core, we are all very good people. We are engaged and passionate. We are also neighbors and friends, whether we are teachers or administrators or parents or random taxpayers or school board commissioners. We are a community in crisis over this. And we just have to find our way through it without any more damage being done. It is true that selfishly I don't want the teachers to strike. And I think I understand how they got to this point. However, this seems less important to me as the days go on. What I really want, what is more important, is for all of us to figure out a way to disagree well and with integrity so that we can look for the common ground that will bring these negotiations to a peaceful resolution, something both sides can live with. And those of us who are not negotiating, we have to just support the process with the same integrity. We just have to. All those things together. And Ashley Smith after that. My name is Alice Cecilia. Start the public again. My name is Alice Cecilia. I'm a parent in the school district, a single parent in the school district. I'm a taxpayer. My third kid is going through high school now. I have nothing but praise for the education that all my children have got. The teachers have been extraordinary, and for that I will be forever grateful. I'm also 38 years a union member. In England, we start very young in the union, and I'm pro-union. I believe in rights of workers. I believe particularly in the rights of public sector workers, teachers, social workers, firefighters. I believe that we all deserve good pay for a job well done, and our teachers certainly have done a brilliant job. I feel like I'm in total anguish tonight. I have two friends who are on the school board, who I trust. I trust Stephanie, I trust Liz, I don't know the rest of you, but I really trust you guys. You're both on the finance committee. And if you tell me that there is no more money, I trust you. I believe that you have not left one stone unturned in looking for extra money for our children. I believe that you have looked at the budget, had sleepless nights, asked thousands of questions of our Chief Financial Officer to come to a resolution that is going to be the best for our community and in particular our children. So I don't know what to do. I'm a union member and I trust my finance committee. So all I can say is two things. Please don't give up. Fight to come to a peaceful resolution. I've lived in England where there has been horrendous strikes. It divides communities. It kills communities. We don't want that here. Please come up with a peaceful resolution. And please don't let it be on the backs of our most vulnerable students, because in the past, when cuts are made, they are the ones that always get shafted. I have been coming to school board meetings for 15 years and watched countless programs be cut. Middle school alternative programs be cut, social workers be cut, programs at the high school be cut, and they have always affected our most vulnerable students. So if there is any money to be found, please let it be in a way that our most vulnerable students are the most protected. Thank you.
My name's Ashley Smith. I'm a participant in the Vermont Labor Solidarity Committee that did a lot of work around the bus drivers strike a couple of years ago. And I live right opposite the Burlington High School, so I'm very familiar with the bell times of the class changes and the departure and arrival of students and faculty. And I care deeply about public education. I care deeply about the education of our children as a social right, as that we organized and won for. And I fear that that social right to high-quality public education is being trampled upon across the United States and here in Burlington. I'm shocked that the school board didn't agree to the mediator's offer. I don't understand why. I also don't understand why, at the first possible moment, you imposed a contract that violates the democratic right of collective bargaining that unions fought for and won in the United States. I urge you to go back to the table with no conditions, with an open mind, and more than that, I urge you to go back to the table and agree to the teachers' union's demands. They are right, they are just, and you should listen to them and respect the democratic process of collective bargaining. Pay them what they deserve. Without educated, high-paid teachers, we don't have high-quality education as a right for Burlington's working class and poor people. That is a public education necessity. Pay them what they deserve. Improve their working conditions. I've talked to high school teachers now at the high school about the shocking working conditions that they suffer, the lack of break times, the horrible conditions of the rooms. Pay for lower class sizes. There is money in this city. Don't scapegoat the teachers for the board-passed mismanagement of financial terms. Without teachers teachers, we don't got good education for our students. Without good education for our students, they can't get good jobs. Teachers, students, parents, the community have to stand together. Don't be intransigent. Don't force a strike. And if there is a strike, I will be there on the picket line with all the other teachers. All of the other teachers. It is right. Don't force a strike. It is on you. Listen to the teachers' unions and agree to their demand.
This will be the last speaker.
I'm speaking for two of my neighbors, that each of them have written a statement. The first is from Bob Duncan and Jean Markey Duncan at 105 Old Crest Drive. A teacher has one of the most important jobs, educating our children. Teachers should be well compensated in salary and benefits, albeit within the means of taxpayers to afford. Everyone is aware of how difficult teachers' jobs have become. Health care costs have skyrocketed, and wages have remained virtually stagnant for most taxpayers. The contract imposed by the school board may not be all that the teachers wanted, but it represents a fair proposal given the tax rate approved by the voters and what the voters can afford. Rumors abound regarding a potential strike by the teachers. One thing is clear: no one benefits from a strike. We encourage the BEA to accept the contract the school board has offered for this year and for both parties to begin open, transparent, and public negotiations on the contract for next year. Public negotiations may be in the best interest of all parties and allow all of us to be better informed. A second statement comes from Ed Wilbur at 67 Oak Crest Drive. I have been a high school teacher and I have taught in industry and local colleges. My 3 children attended Burlington schools. I want what is fair for the teachers and for the community. Since retiring from IBM 22 years ago, I have received a total of 0.5% pension increase. The consumer price index is about 0.8%. The majority of my working friends and family have received pay increases at the CPI level or less in the past 10 years. Given that my insurance, medicine, taxes, and home costs have risen above the CPI, I am not in favor of a teacher salary increase not in line with the CPI. The requested increases are not sustainable for most taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. We've gone ahead and we've exhausted our 20 minutes now, so we'll go ahead and close public forum. Is there any comment from the board?
There's more space to extend.
Don't grant. It's up to the board to make that decision.
Point of order. Are there any other people on the list?
There are.
How many other people are on the list? So if there's 12 people, if we do an extension, which we often do, we can at least fit in 10 more. So I would suggest that we just cap it at those 12 and let those 12 people each speak at least a minute or 2 minutes each.
So we will be restricted to 1 minute each if we extend it.
Okay. I make a motion that we extend the public comment and we allow the remaining speakers to each have 2 minutes. So it would be 24 minutes instead of 20 minutes. Anyone second that, though? Okay.
This requires a 2/3 vote, which would be a total of 8 positives. All those in favor of the motion to extend public comment by a period of 24 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Here's your hand. So it passes.
Carol Rubin, and then Pete Windor.
Hi, thanks. I won't take a lot of time because I feel like what JD said was sort of what I had to say. I have also studied this problem, as you guys know, but maybe a lot of you back there don't know that I call you guys all the time, and I email you all the time, and I come to these meetings and I ask a lot of questions, and I have studied this problem, and I know that it's hard. And I know you well enough to know that there is not a conspiracy to break the union, that there is not evil intent to hurt the children. I know that everybody engaged in this situation is really pushed up against the wall, and it is uncomfortable for everybody. And I support all of you in trying to figure this out, and I have a lot of faith in both the teachers and in the board to figure this out. So I just encourage you to do so, and know that you have the support of a lot of the community, both the teachers and the board. Thank you.
After Pete Windor is Matthew Gordon.
I am a homeowner, taxpayer, parent, teacher myself in Milton High School, and a spouse to an incredible teacher here at Edmonds Middle School. And why on earth wouldn't teachers accept the imposed conditions? Because it's fundamentally unfair. And the entire purpose of the union is to have one line of protection in case you are imposed in unfair working conditions. It's why unions were created in the first place. So the only recourse, obviously, is to strike. This has been forced upon our teachers. Education is the type of thing that a lot of us were educated, and therefore we feel like we understand its inner workings. I look at interns when they walk in my classroom, and the deer in the headlights look is because it takes 5 years to figure out what you're doing in a classroom. What you're going to create in our school system here is a flight of educators. And you are going to cause people to pause before they apply for a position because of the mark being placed on the working conditions here in Burlington. So I request, plead, beg that we go back to the table and negotiate, and we find ways to get rid of an $80,000 professional development fund for this many teachers. Forcing teachers to pay back a portion of their professional development if they leave within 3 years. I've talked to colleagues in different industries, and their minds are like, what? It's just out of this world strange and bizarre, and it seems like it's all been designed to lead to this moment, if you look at it. And when I voted in the spring, I thought I was voting for the perpetuation of high-quality schools, knowing that we had a lot more to do. Education is extremely complex, and it's getting more and more difficult. And I think we can go and look at ways to fundamentally change the way our property taxes are funded. We need to be looking at Montpelier, not looking to find ways to pull money out of the pockets of our teachers that are working all summer, working on Sundays, working at night. A lot of us bartend and wait tables and mow lawns because our salaries, folks, are not exactly something to brag about. And if we're not going to, why stop the teachers? Why not go after our administrators? Why not go after our medical profession, right? So I appreciate the opportunity to talk. Let's go back to the table. Let's talk. Let's talk.
Hello, I'm Matt Gordon. I'm a student at UVM, secondary education major. I've grown up in South Burlington and I've lived here my entire life. I've taken a lot of education classes at UVM so far in my 2 years. And in those classes, I was taught that my continuing education will be covered by my school. I was taught that small class sizes are beneficial to the education of my students, and I was taught that dedicated professionals are essential for giving a quality educational experience to students with special needs. And I feel that from what I've seen in the Burlington School District, it lacked in many of these areas. The practices of schools today should be a reflection of the curriculum that we give to future teachers like myself. And if we know the correct path that we teach our future teachers, shouldn't we implement that path in our schools today? I really hope that people don't dismiss this as the I think that if we don't have the money for this, for the demands of the BEA, if we agree that education is one of the most important things in this society, and I think we all do, both the union and the board, then that means there isn't any money in Burlington at all, because we've already exhausted the money before we've gotten to the basic essentials that we need to provide for a good, just society. If we can't provide for those things, there's no money at all, certainly not any money for malls or for waterfront projects. The school board position implies that the current conditions in Burlington and the amount of money being given to the students are all right, but these conditions are not acceptable. Thank you.
Nolan Rampage.
Hi, I would just like to quickly address this issue of funding or the lack of funding, because I think that there's a lot of false facts that are really going around right now that we need to clear up. I want to be really clear with everyone. The money in Burlington, in Vermont, is absolutely there to fund our education, to fund teachers, and to give students the education they deserve. For the past, 8 to 10 years, the state legislature has been gutting funding to the public education fund, and then the board now wants to come to us and plead poverty and say that the money's not there. The fact is, it's there, but it's a question of priorities. And right now, apparently, education for Burlington students is at the bottom of that priority list. So we currently have, as the previous speaker mentioned, a mayor that's sinking tens of millions of dollars to build a new mega mall and to build, and to develop the space down by the waterfront. And meanwhile, teachers need a couple of million in order to make this contract work, and we're saying that it's not there. It is there, it's just a question of priorities. And the last thing that I want to say is, I want to speak to the teachers, because I think what you all are doing is inspiring right now. Because, let's be clear, you've endured 3 years of education cuts, and more are on their way. This is not the last fight. The board's going to be asking for more later. And I want to be clear that everyone around, not just in this county, but in this state, is watching how this fight plays out. If the teachers give a concessionary contract, that signals open season for all of the other school boards to attack the working standards and living conditions of teachers all around the area. In contrast, if the teachers can stand up, demand the type of education that they deserve, that sends a signal that we're ready to fight, and the community is going to stand behind the teachers to fight for the type of educational environment that our students deserve. Thank you.
Isaiah Chrisman, then Jess Floyd, and Lucy Glove.
Could that possibly be a J and not a, never mind.
That's good. Yeah, you're next. Good.
My name is Isaac, I'm a Burlington resident. I'm also a former para in the Burlington School District and a current student teacher. So I'm here to support schools and I'm here to support teachers. I'm here to support teachers because I saw my colleagues every single day pour their hearts and souls into caring for and educating students in this community. But I'm also here because this isn't just about treating teachers with respect, as important as that is. I'm here because when teachers are under attack, it's students who suffer, and in particular, as some previous speakers have said, it's the most vulnerable students who suffer the most. So what this is ultimately about is not whether there isn't money or there is, because we know that if we're broke on purpose. There's plenty of money in the city. What this is about is what kind of a place Burlington is, what kind of a city Burlington is. Is this a city that's a playground for real estate developers to make profits? Or is this a city that serves and cares for families, for students, for teachers, and for workers, the people who make this city what it really is? So what we're asking is simple. Give teachers a fair contract. Give teachers a fair contract for their experience. Give teachers a fair contract for their continuing education. And give teachers a fair contract for the essential work that they do every day with our students. That's what teachers deserve, that's what families deserve, that's what students deserve, and that's what this community deserves. And if you don't give teachers this fair contract, I'm proud to say that the community will stand behind educators and with public education. And I will certainly be there on the first day to walk the picket line with BEA.
speeches here tonight, so I just want to recognize that. I'm kind of jazzed. Okay, my name is Jess. I live in Burlington. I've lived here for about 5 years. I'm a taxpayer, as many people have also mentioned. I was a student at UVM, and I'm someone that just lives in Burlington and really deeply cares about this community. As I was getting prepared to talk, I spoke with a teacher, and I was like, tell me what to say, and she said, oh, speak from your heart. I'm like, no, I really just want the answer, and as a good teacher, she wouldn't let me do that. Really unfortunate when you don't come with the answer prepared. So anyways, she told me to speak from my experience, so that's what I'm going to do. And my passion and what I do in my life is I help nurses, which is, I find different, but also similar to teachers in a lot of different ways. They're people that I think care about their profession, and they care about their patients in the way that teachers care about their students more than anyone. In the same way that, along with contract negotiations and the budget and so many other things, in healthcare, it's very confusing. It's all over my head. I just try to keep up with what everyone's telling me to keep up with. But in that same right, I know something that's very true about teachers is something that is true to be, I believe is true about nurses, is that when they say that there is something that they could be doing better for their patients, in the same way that they could be doing something better for their students, I believe them. I don't really believe that anyone takes as seriously children's education, the future of our community, as much as teachers do. And not only do I believe that, but I believe that the true testament of people coming together. And I just want to take a moment to see how green this room is, and how much not only the teachers have shown up, but the community has shown up. People like me who could be very disaffected have shown up, because like Nolan has said, this is inspiring. I don't understand why it seems like such a big ask to ask the board to come back to release the imposition, which is unprecedented, might I add. But I would like to also echo the point that if the teachers go out on strike, I will leave the teachers, and I'll be there on day one. Thank you.
Folks, thanks for your hard work. I'm Lucy Gluck. I am a longtime resident of Burlington. I actually went through the South Burlington school system, but I've been living in Burlington a good long time. I'm a homeowner living on Blodgett Street in the Old North End. And Burlington, I'm really proud of Burlington, and I want to keep being proud of Burlington. And one of the core things, I don't have kids, but when I pay my taxes, I want to know my taxes are going to support kids and to support teachers and to have innovative, creative schools that are really pushing. And so I'm glad that you're going back to the table next week to really work on a fair solution. It's really heartbreaking to me when I hear the stories. I know a couple of individuals in the school system in Burlington who just work so hard and are feeling squeezed and are feeling stressed, and the conditions aren't good. And one who I know ended up leaving the school system, and it really makes me feel like we're moving in a direction where we're going to lose some really good people, more good people, if we don't find solutions here and really, work hard to have a fair contract. So please keep stretching and working hard and listening, to each other, and so that I, as a citizen and a taxpayer and a homeowner, can feel really proud of my community. This is my extended family. So thanks for listening.
So I'm going to read the rest of the list. Joe Catalano, Mike Fisher, Nancy Rondow, Jeff Wick, and Isaac Beckman. So Joe, is Joe here?
I asked the school board and the superintendent, what are you teaching our children? When you walk away from a contract, when you do not have any kind of transparency in the budget, why can't we know the money that comes in and where the money goes? Because we don't. We know that there's not money for teachers, but there's money for more administrators, for more public relations people, for more lawyers. There's more money for principals of principals. There's more money for principals because they get trained in the classroom. I mean, what's going on here? What are we teaching our kids? When you agree to fact-finding, You agree to the fact finder, and then you walk out like children in a sandbox who can't play because you don't get your way? This is not fair. It's also outrageous that you hire a superintendent to come here and break the union, because that's what you've done. And you are trying to break this union. I come from a union family. Union families and union members don't like to go out on strike. They rarely go out on strike unless they're forced to go out on strike. And you are forcing them to go out on strike with the hope that the community will come behind you because you're talking about finances and everybody's strapped. The issue isn't the finances, the issue is the process. Yes. This process is corrupt, and it has been hidden behind closed doors, and it's wrong. And I ask you to examine your own consciences and come back and meet the union fairly and bargain fairly. Thank you.
I'm Mike Fisher. I'm the president of Champaign PTO. As you know, I've been advocating hard to avoid a strike. We all agree that a strike would be extremely damaging to students, to working parents, and the entire city. Parents and the entire community are looking to you, the board, and to you, the union, to negotiate a settlement. Now, there's been a lot of denigration from both sides, personal attacks, and hurt feelings. I encourage you and the union to approach next Wednesday's session with your head and not your heart. I know that will be difficult, considering the past and considering all the emotion that's displayed here tonight. But if you go in leading with emotion, we're all doomed. Nobody can win an emotional fight. So you have all been elected to lead the community, and the union leadership, you've been elected by the teachers. You should strive to lead by example and avert a crisis through true collaboration. The time for posturing is over. You all need to act together, the board and the union. This is a shared responsibility. Thank you.
I started adopting Burlington as my home when I came here in 1970 as a student at UVM and went to Flynn School to do my student teaching. So that's where I got my beginning of my love for Burlington. And I am a teacher in the South School District and a union member. And this is, I'm embarrassed to say, is my first board meeting. I never spoke to your board before, and I appreciate the opportunity of having the extension so that I could at least have a few words. I'm just going to speak from my heart. I love Burlington. My two children graduated from Burlington High School in 1995 and 97, and had wonderful teachers here at Burlington High School. And I've got to say, I'm in solidarity with all of you, and my hearts go out to you. And I want you all to urge you to please maybe Google the New York Times article of what happened in Heinsberg. I want to remind you, in 1985, we had the worst teacher strike in the history of Vermont. And I just want to remind you of how bitter that battle was between the board and the school and the teachers and that community, and what's happened and the residual effect of that type of an activity, and what tears that town apart and still has some residual effects. And I just want and urge you not to let that happen. I'm also a special teacher of reading, and I work with children who have special needs. And it makes me very sad to see that so many programs in Burlington have been slashed.
Yeah.
And I really feel that the children are the ones that are going to lose in the long run. And I really hope that you will go back to the table and try to reach some kind of a compromise, as long as it takes, but not to go into strike. Thank you.
Jeff, and then Isaac Gentleman is the last speaker.
Thanks. I'm Jeff Wick. What I want to say is before the board imposed, I think the board and the BDA were quite close. So it's unfortunate that imposition happens. But until just before that, the board's position wasn't quite as reasonable. In other words, you were offering a 1.8% salary increase, which is great. But that was contingent on, and I quote from Mark Porter's letter, this was contingent on removal of the salary grid. Now, I just want to make sure everybody knows, and if they don't, what the salary grid is that the teachers, and frankly other professions like lawyers, rely on. It essentially represents 50 years of collective bargaining, this salary grid, and it's not perfect, but it's the best, most equitable system we know for paying teachers fairly. So when you say, yeah, we'll offer you 1.8%, but only if you agree to eliminate the salary grid, that's huge. So I can completely understand why the negotiations went nowhere for a very long time. So I think you're close. But the other thing is also removing the graduate tuition reimbursement. Until very recently, and I'm looking at Mark's letter to the superintendents, that was going away. It was being merged into the other professional development. You're very close now. You've got 80 grand in there now. It used to be 300 grand. That means teachers are going to have to be fighting with each other to get this graduate benefit. I think you're very close, and I think given that you've got a $1.5 million other professional development budget and an $80,000 line for the graduate courses, I hope you can move some over to make that. Okay, thanks, Mark. So, in closing, what I want to say is you're very close on numbers. It's just a sort of philosophical bent that was very offensive to the teachers. And if you can get rid of that philosophical bent and just stick with the numbers and remove the imposition and come to agreement, I think you will come to agreement. And I am crossing my fingers because I know you're all good people, and so are you. But it's time. We got to come to agreement.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Hi, I'm Isaac Gentleman, a sophomore at BHS, and unlike most of the community members who have spoken tonight, I'm not here to point fingers at one group or another. Instead, I came because I feel that both sides, school board and union members, need to remember why they have jobs in the first place: to educate and equip students with the tools they need for success. The school board is built with the goal to find a balance between the needs of students and the needs of taxpayers. The problem is that taxpayers speak with a vote, whether it be on a budget or who is seated in front of me today. But students don't have this ability to express their needs and tell the school board what is important to them. And so the priorities of the school board are often unbalanced, with school board focusing on the needs of taxpayers first and students second. This is obvious when a class has 28 students and 22 desks. On the other side of this dispute, failed negotiations have led teachers to vote on a strike. This adds to the turmoil that has already disrupted the goings-on of our school. Right now, some seniors are pursuing early action to colleges. The arguments in our district have created an unneeded distraction in the hard process of pursuing a higher education. Striking limits seniors' access to letters of recommendation, along with information gathered through classes like senior seminar or talking with their guidance counselor. This strike, however, not only affects the academic day. Sports teams vying for a playoff spot might miss their chance at the championships because they had to forfeit games and not practice during a strike. Burlington High School's musical will have to cancel practices, leaving them in a time crunch for their November show. Students who have long cut out plans for summer might be forced to alter them due to an extended school year. So, for all the aforementioned reasons, I ask both sides to meet, find middle ground, and make compromise to appease everybody: students, taxpayers, the union, and the school board. When you struggle to create a mutual agreement, remember that in this fight, the students are the civilian casualties.
close the public forum at this time and exhaust the list. And moving on to board reflections. Does anyone have a reflection? Yes. Commissioner Sheehan?
Hey, can you hear me okay? Did someone say no? Sorry, I've been sick for like 2 weeks, so. I'll try to project. All right. So. All right. So as many of you know, and actually as some of you know and many of you don't, I'm a social worker. In social work, one of the core things we believe or understand is the value of relationships. And I'm sitting in a room here tonight seeing how clearly the relationships have been damaged. And we as a community have an opportunity in this crisis to repair these damaged relationships and to model for our children how to resolve conflict peacefully. I hope we can reach a settlement, I believe we can, and move forward towards our common goals and vision. I'd like to share some quotes from, and I might say the name wrong, so you can correct me, Chaim Janat, who was a school teacher, a child psychologist, a psychotherapist, and parent educator. And these quotes kind of capture how I'm feeling about the situation. So I thought I'd share them with people, and I asked people on both sides of this conflict to listen and think about it from your perspective and the perspective of the others. These quotes refer to parents and teachers and children, but I want you to think of it broader than that. I'm not attacking teachers when I speak about teachers in the quote. I just want you to know that. I'm asking the board to think of yourself in that role as well. I know. But I know I'm taking the time, but it takes time to heal relationships, so forgive me. The first quote is, "Truth for its own sake can be a deadly weapon in family relations. Truth without compassion can destroy love. Some parents try too hard to prove exactly how, where, and why they have been right. This approach will bring bitterness and disappointment when attitudes are hostile, facts are unconvincing." So I want us to remember that going back to the table. And that's from Between Parent and Teenager. The second quote is more famous. "I've come to a frightening conclusion that I'm the decisive element in the classroom. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher or board member," I'm going to add that in, "I possess a tremendous power to make a person's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a person humanized or dehumanized." And that's from Teacher and Child. So the point of me reading this is that I believe that this crisis is an opportunity. It doesn't matter which side people find themselves on, or if you find yourself torn somewhere in the middle, like many of us do. But we all must remember who this is really about, the children, and what kind of example are we setting for the children. I hope that we can find a way through this together that sets a good example for the children about how to model a conflict, no matter how impossible it might seem. Thank you.
Is there any other commissioner feedback? Seeing none, we'll close this. I haven't moved on, but you want feedback on this, or we're going to move on?
Can I have a question? That's fine. So I would like to echo what Isaac said earlier. I've been in front of school district all my life, and I've been on the board for 1.5 years now, and I've gotten to know a lot of my teachers and a lot of the board members personally. And I realize it's not an easy process. For the teachers, these are your careers, your money, what you live off of every single day. And for your board, the board, I realize this is your passion. You volunteer your time, come out here and to serve your community. But watching this process play out over the past year has been saddening. The press releases seems like weekly. There are insults coming from both sides. What kind of example are you setting for your students? Both the board members and the teachers. I see teachers in the classroom giving 110% every single day, but to turn on the news, to go on the BEA website is to see the waves of insults from both the board and the union. I realize striking is what you have to do. I realize you're defending not only your career, but the general the principle of a union. But I ask you to go into negotiating session on Wednesday with an open mind, both by board members and the teachers, and to really solve this contract negotiation, because a strike by the teachers will be detrimental, as I have said, to students. Thank you.
Did I miss anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll close public comment here. Board of Elections, move on to board. Commissioner Curry, update on policy governance progress to date.
So, progress to date, we've had 2 trainings from BSBA, Trainer Sal, Gardner, and Deacon Patrick. We are looking for a date for a 3rd retreat to finish up all of the policy drafts that we were looking at. And we don't have a date yet, but we're looking at Saturday morning in November, probably. So that's where we stand.
before we proceed, everybody can see away some time and think about it. Okay? So we're looking at committee reports, if it's significant, we report on, that's fine. I know I have some things to do.